if you're comfortable with this, and jump in the chat box. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to find a little spot where it says chat. And if you jump in there and just maybe put your name and either where you're from or what excited you about coming on this, listening to this, exploring this opportunity today, feel free to just give us a little nugget there, and we'll keep an eye on that. And on that note, we are going to do our best to keep this interactive. We might find that in order to keep the flow going, if the question is a little bit more related to something we're going to be talking about as we go, we may hold the question and come to it at the end. So we will definitely save time at the end for Q&A. And just know that we will, if we don't finish the Q&A by the 45-minute point, we're happy to stay on and continue the Q&A. So you can get your questions answered that way. We're also, of course, happy to connect afterwards. We can get on a phone call or whatever we need to do to, connect with you and help you get more information. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. We're going to get into what we're doing here today, and then a little bit of introduction so you can know who we are. So the purpose of today's webinar is for us to lift the hood on this Happy Cat Hotel franchise opportunity. So you can decide if it's something you want to keep exploring a little bit more than you maybe already have. And the outcomes that we're hoping for is that we're hoping that we just help you get the desire to keep exploring with us if you feel like it's a fit for you. We're really trying to find people that are aligned with our mission to disrupt the status quo. So we'll tell you what that means in a minute. But let's move on, and I'll just explain a little bit more about who we are. In a minute, I'll pass the baton over to our founder and CEO, Chris Ramo, to officially kick things off. And just before I give you my background, we've thrown up a poll there for you. So we'd love to hear what brought you to this webinar today. Hopefully you can see that poll right in front of you, so you can give us your thoughts on what brought you here today. I just read it myself. I want to be rich, Mitch. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the most popular answer, but we will find out. And when I turn that over to you, Chris, maybe you can give the results of what we found there on what was the most popular answer, why everybody's here. So my very quick backstory is that I grew up in a business that's a franchise company in Canada called M&M Meat Shops. We grew the business over the years to almost 500 locations. And so I've been working with Chris and the Happy Cat Hotel leadership team to get everything in order and get everything strategically organized so that we can really grow exponentially, but strategically, and do this right. Also, we've got with us today Charlene, who is our rock star in the background for us, really holding everything together. And she's the administrative director of franchise development. So she's involved with us on finding franchisees and making sure that people are the right fit. And she pretty much wears all the hats and does everything that makes us look awesome. So without further ado, I will pass things over to Chris. I'll get him to share with you his story and what the heck a Happy Cat Hotel is, and why we think this is an opportunity that the whole world should know about, including, by the way, the folks from World's Greatest TV Show, which you'll hear about in a minute. So I'll pass it over to you, Chris, and let you give your story.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will try to get through, the early presentation part as fast as we can, so that we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. Some of you joining us today may be customers of ours. If that's the case, I think that you have some familiarity with the brand and what we're doing. But for those of you who do not, I will start off by saying that Happy Cat Hotels and Spas are let's say, the most luxurious feline exclusive oases ever designed and engineered by humans. And I say that with a little bit of a smile, but and it sounds outrageous, but if you've ever seen our facility, you know that it's quite true. Happy Cat Hotels are known for their enriching environments. We stand head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to delivering, over-the-top service and, delivering that to our customers. We're listening to them, we're engaging them, we're solving their problems, we're educating them. It's really our full spectrum experience. It not only appeals to the sensibilities of cats, but of their human companions as well. And we'll get into how we do some of that here in the next couple of minutes. As Angela mentioned, we were recently named World's Greatest Cat Hotel by the World's Greatest television program on ION Network. We've had numerous features in magazines and print publications. Long and short, we are disrupting or attempting to disrupt, and I think we've been successful at it so far in disrupting the entire pet industry with what we're doing here by focusing exclusively on cats. So we'll go over, everything that we do from, top to bottom. And what we do is, we go over the top with everything. Let me put it that way. We go over the top with everything that we do, from the design of our rooms to the enrichment programs that we offer cats, to our brand new bellhop service where we greet customers in the parking lot and help them to the car with their cats. And some of you might know some of our most popular amenities, the 24/7 webcam monitoring, smart TVs with feline-focused television programs. Of course, our renowned kitty concierge service, which is a dedicated role implemented for the sole purpose of engaging with our feline guests throughout the day. All of that are just, that's just some of the things that we do in the facility, business to consumer wise.
And if anybody doesn't have a cat, and you do know how hard it is to get a cat into their carrier? So if you guys are telling me that you help with that, that's really smart.
We can put up an educational video on YouTube, and
there you go.
There's all kinds of tricks. So just a quick backstory on us and how we got to the Happy Cat Hotel. My wife Meg and I started our first business, Home Sweet Home Pet Care, back in 2007. It's a house call animal care service, and that saw us going into the homes of our clients to take care of their pets when their pet parents could not be there. Over the many years and thousands of house call visits that we made in that time, neither ourselves nor our staff could deny the overwhelming numbers of negative cat behavior changes that we witnessed during that time. Cats were sad, morose, pining for affection in some cases, destroying furniture in other cases. It was just simply, a result of them being home alone for 23 and a half hours in between our visits. They're social creatures, and it just was not enough. So this bothered us to no end. And we said there has to be a better way. And we started asking questions like, what if? And so here we are today. And we've determined that from fun and curious to quiet and mysterious, none of it means that cats won't benefit from a stimulating environment full of fun, interaction, and socialization. And at Happy Cat Hotel Franchising, we call this enrichment, and it is the key to a truly happy cat. So some of our core values, or all of our core values, are up there on the screen. Our core values are our driving force in everything that we do, from who we hire to the vendors that we work with. And obviously, when we talk about potential franchisee candidates, we are looking for franchisee candidates who align with these values, because we know that when we create a culture of alignment like this, we stand the best opportunity to grow exponentially. And we want franchisees who understand what it means to deliver the best experience possible. If we can, we want this to be the Disney World of the cat world. We all know that Disney is the happiest place on earth. So this is the happiest place on earth if you're a cat. So why cats, you might ask, or a lot of people might ask? Well, first, it's because the cats told us to. And if you have a cat at home, you know what you know what happens when demands are not met by the cat. So second, once we listened to them, we began to see all of the signs pointing to this being the absolute right mouse to pounce on. The industry just tells us where we need to be. It's an industry that has increased every year over year since 1990 and shows no signs of stopping. In fact, it's projected to crest $120 billion by 2025. In the pet care market, cats are disproportionately underserved, which is crazy when you think about it, because there's actually more cats owned in the US than there are dogs. In fact, there's 2.1 cats owned per household, as the graphic will show. And while that number has remained consistent over the past few years, that 2.1, the US has realized an increase of, I believe it's 9–10% of more cat owners in 2016 than compared with previous years and previous statistics. While that 2.1 number is staying, per household is staying consistent, we're seeing more and more households getting cats. So this is one of my favorite graphs because it shows where the cat enthusiasts are. Now these numbers are in millions, obviously, so it's even the 4 white states there, Montana, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, there's still plenty of cats, even though those are lesser cat owning states. And I just wanted to run through a quick example of what we're talking about when we say that this service is in demand and it's an underserved market. So if we had a 30-room facility that we wanted to book every night of the year, that's 365 nights out of the year, we would need approximately 782 customers to do that. That's 782 families averaging 2 vacations a year. If they all book, that's 100% capacity. So to put things in perspective, there's 443,000 cat owning families in Mississippi alone. So you need 782 of 443,000 families to fill your facility to capacity. That is 0.0017% of the available market is what you need to capture. If you told the Ford Corporation that all they have to do is capture that number for 100% of their inventory to be sold, I think you'd want to make note of the look on their face. So we're enjoying the opportunity here that nobody else is looking at, and it's wide open.
So for anybody that doesn't have that has a hard time with numbers, what we're basically saying is there is a ton of opportunity out there because there are a lot of cats. Simplified.
Yeah. Thank you. I get into the numbers, so thank you, Angela. For
at least somebody does. Somebody gets the numbers here.
And so cats are not only leading the way in pet ownership, but they're continuing to trend further and further into the collective consciousness of U.S. families, thanks in large part to the, we'll call it the pet-centric proclivities of the millennial generation. Boomers want to travel, millennials don't want kids. We're generalizing, yes, but the point is neither group wants to be lonely, and it seems like cats will likely be an ongoing solution for these 2 top demographics. So everything looks good where we're at right now, but we just continue to expect it to trend upwards. For all of us at Happy Cat Hotel Franchising, the details above that we just kind of highlighted are enough reasons for us to pounce on this opportunity with this underserved and exploding segment. And I would say that, at least for the time being, we expect competition to come into the market at some point, but for right now, it's wide open, and the whole market can be ours. And when we say ours, we mean our family of cat enthusiasts turned business entrepreneurs. This is potentially one or more of you, and we hope that some of you will continue joining us as we continue our mission to disrupt the status quo, as we like to call it.
Awesome. So now we're going to talk a little bit about why franchise and why we believe that this is the right model to be using, because there's different ways that we can grow the business. So on a high level, brand recognition, systems experience, these are important things, our ability to tap into the local business community. But really the biggest key point is this concept of the local business community and really being able to share our purpose and our passion with franchise owners who want to help us grow, in their local communities. So in just a minute, I'll get into the specifics of what support you will get from us. But first, I want to share what gets me really, really excited about this opportunity and for people exploring today. First of all, as you maybe can tell, we're young and excited to grow. There's lots of opportunity. And if by joining us, you get to get in at the ground level of this very unique concept. And as Chris mentioned, I don't know if actually you said this specifically, but there's no other cat boarding franchises out there. There's dog, cat, a few kinds of things out there, but nothing like this. And so while we have to have standards in place and systems, it's a franchise. Our goal is, to protect franchisees' investments. Because it's still early in the game, though, we do see a lot of value in getting input from the front line to keep us innovative and ensure that we're standing out. So what this means is that as a franchisee of the business, you have the opportunity to share ideas that might become a part of the Happy Cat Hotel operating system. In a bigger, more established franchise company, you really hardly get access to the founder, and it can be really hard to feel heard when you do have great ideas and suggestions. So you get to be a part of shaping this. On that note, the earlier you join us, the more customized support you're going to get, because our number one focus is going to be on supporting franchisees to get profitable, because we need people to be brand ambassadors and help us find more awesome franchisees. So it's going to be really important that we have the right support to get you profitable. So you can rest assured that we're really concerned about getting it right, which is why the Happy Cat Hotel leadership team brought some high-level expertise in from the start. Everything from a project manager to guide you in site selection, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, guide you in construction management and getting you up and running, to bringing me on the team, which I'm very honored to be. I'm a franchise growth catalyst, I've always called myself, so it seemed like the perfect fit to really work on the things that I learned growing up in the business of franchising and working in franchising my whole life, and implementing those things here at Happy Cat Hotel. A testament to show that this really is, oh, thank you, Rita, catalyst, a testament to show that this is really an amazing thing, is the exciting PR exposure that the Happy Cat Hotel has been getting, as Chris mentioned, featuring on the world's greatest TV series, been featured on the front cover of Pet Boarding and Daycare magazine, a couple other podcasts and things that Chris has been interviewed on. So that's a great start, considering that there hasn't even really been any effort put into getting that PR. So we know that there's lots of opportunity for more of that, which is exciting. And lastly, we've even raised the eyebrows of some pretty influential people in franchising who are eager to see us succeed. So that kind of just helps us feel even more validated that we are on the right track and doing something exciting here. So let's move on to the franchisee benefits. So let's go through more specific benefits of being a franchisee. So as you can see from this slide here, everything from site selection assistance, continuous business development, marketing think tank. We're there for you. We're going to be there we're there with you from the beginning and then ongoing. And that's something that I find as a franchise growth catalyst. I work with a lot of different franchise companies, and a lot of franchisors are really good at getting franchisees up and running, and then they don't know how to kind of ongoing support them for the training. But we're going to make sure that we implement that. And I just really like to draw your attention to one of the most exciting benefits of being a franchisee is that you get to be in this, you get to collaborate and get the value of the connection with a network of fellow franchisee partners who are running the exact same business with you. So you're not alone. There's these other franchise partners in different cities that you can rely on to call upon for help, including the franchisor leadership team, and the opportunities that we'll have to get together and always be learning from each other. So that's kind of the high level franchisee benefits. Next question I know a lot of people would ask is how do you succeed or make money at this? Really, you might hear the term turnkey in franchising. I get a little nervous when I hear that term because it really is a partnership. It's not just you walk in and the business is going to run. You need to have dedication. You need to trust the system that has been proven already. Do lots of marketing in your local community. Get out there and meet people, connect with veterinarians and different other businesses that are going to bring you business. Leveraging that local community presence and really maximizing the revenue streams, which we'll look at. Actually, we'll move right into that. Actually, I'll get you, Chris, to share the different revenue streams as a business owner of a Happy Cat hotel.
Thanks, Angela. So yeah, as some of you may know from being customers, we have 3 primary revenue streams, each independently self-sufficient. But obviously a natural cross marketing relationship with the other 2 elements. And those 3 are boarding, grooming, and of course our cat-centric gift shop. The boarding is kind of our bread and butter. Everything is sort of built around that. Between the way we design and engineer the rooms, develop our enrichment programs, and obviously proactively engage with the customers to give them peace of mind. The hotel experience is our signature. The grooming facilities are state-of-the-art facilities designed specifically for cats, and they are presided over by the very best in the country. These are feline master groomers certified through National Cat Groomers Institute. And our focus in the grooming spa is to maintain safe and relaxing environment for the cats. Only when we do this do we see cats succeed throughout the grooming program. If we can achieve that, then we get the customers on our side, and they believe in it and they buy into the regular maintenance grooming, which is a core principle in cat grooming. And then obviously our gift shops, which really are just that, more gift shops than they are cat stores. For the most part, Chewy and PetSmart, have the food market locked down. So we probably isn't so wise to go and compete with them. But what they can't touch us on is the customer service, the education, the variety of unique and eclectic, products that we feature at Happy Cat hotels. And that's, validated for the customers because we test and use, I shouldn't say test, but we use everything in the rooms with the cats throughout their experiences, whether it's furnishings or blankets or toys, the water fountains, everything that the cats use that they enjoy during their experience are available in our gift shops. So the investment, probably why everyone is here. We spoke a minute ago about the reason we chose the franchise model to grow, why being a franchise business is an attractive opportunity, whether it's the community and collaboration, and so on and so forth. But it is, it is important to remember that it is the franchisee's business. It is your independent business. It's your own blood, sweat, and tears. And what we do, why we're here, is to try to help you keep you from bleeding and sweating and crying as much as somebody who went out to go do it on their own is probably going to have to do. And I can speak from experience on that. But it means that it's also your investment. So let's just cut to the chase. What are we talking about? Is this in Bitcoin? Is this a barter system? How do we do this? You'll see that the investment is really potentially no more than a house in any given part of the country. But with the prospect, obviously, of making far more money and doing more for you in your quest for happiness than a house might ever be able to. We've broken it down into tiers, as each candidate will certainly have a comfort zone unique to them. Obviously, smaller unit costs less, but reaches capacity faster, and that limits revenue. So why the tiers? Well, again, because not unlike a house, the question is what are we paying for in the facility? How big is it? Where is it? What amenities does it come with? What's the demolition rate? What are you able to negotiate in your lease? All of these things make up, the different cost analysis. Is there an HVAC system in there? Do you have to install that yourself? Every property is going to be different, and the costs associated are going to be different. at the end of the day, we can tell you, what furnishings might cost, or what, certain supplies might cost, because we've negotiated those with vendors. But, when it comes to the real estate, the construction, all that type of stuff, as much as we're working with you, that's part of the reason for that range there. We have highlighted some of the other sort of necessary business expenses that everyone should want to consider. All of this is quite standard in franchising, but these numbers are very high level costs. Where we get down to the nitty gritty is in what we call the federal disclosure document and the disclosure period. And that is, it is a document that is appended to the franchise agreement. Franchisees get to look at that in advance. And it is an extremely detailed review of all costs and all financial representations. And that's, that is a necessary part of the process. We don't want anybody going anywhere until they, have the time to sit down and go over that with an attorney, whatever it is, your business partner, whoever it might be. Financing, Angela, if you wouldn't mind talking about financing.
Sure, yeah. So if you're like the rest of us, mere mortals, and you're not Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett, most people need to finance any big purchase like this or investment. Or maybe you've got the capital to do this. You've saved up or you've invested in Mr. Bezos' crazy idea to purchase and ship packages across the globe in 48 hours or less from this little thing called the internet. But short of that, it is likely a decision that you're going to be financing. Most people that become a franchisee do finance some portion of it. And so we don't finance directly, but we do work with, we have set up a variety of lenders, big and small, who are already familiar with us and the brand, or they're familiar with franchising in general. So I'll just give you a quick peek at who that is. Just for example, Guidant Financial is amazing. They can give you a pre-approval score within minutes and let you know how well you'd be positioned to do, to get financing and what they can offer you based on that feedback. And we also can help you source out alternative lenders that are a little bit more risk tolerant, because we've just done a lot of research on that as well. So let's move to everybody's favorite question, and the most common question in this situation is how much money can I make? So, this is really entirely up to you. While we'll provide what we have found to work in terms of, marketing and operating the business and the technology and the training and the support, it's really up to you in how you implement that. So we really can't make a prediction on that. How you use the tools, though, will determine how fast you're going to grow your business. And really, what Chris showed us before with regards to the market, the wind is at your back. It shows us that, cat ownership is at an all-time high in the US and expected to continue rising. You just have to really go out and really win over your market share by connecting with those veterinarians and attending pet expos, doing social media marketing. Again, we're going to guide you on all this. You don't have to figure it out on your own. You just have to be driven enough to want to do this. And so customer retention, people might ask, how does that work? How does that play out? And that's a really good question. You could be set up to do everything right and just not be a good people person or a good leader, and all that franchise guidance will be for naught. So it really comes down to, understanding people, and really at the end of the day, I just, need to point out, if you haven't explored franchising before, that there is strict legislation around what we can say and what we can't say in terms of, what you can potentially make in this business, and we don't want to mislead you.
So, and we can get into, more specific questions as to how all that, is looked at and discussed. And again, it goes back to the FDD and all that kind of thing as well.
Chris, you were going to mention the 2 hours.
Yeah, this actually just came up with a candidate the other day, as a matter of fact. A big question, everybody's big question is, well, how do I know how do I get the confidence to move forward with this? if I don't, if I can't look at numbers until we get to the FDD and all that. I'm willing to, devote up to 2 hours of my personal time to sit down with any candidate, even if it is prior to the FDD, to help them build out a pro forma. I mean, this is something that you should be doing for any business venture that you're thinking about getting into. But we understand that there are very specific, drivers associated with the brand and the concept that you might not know about. And so I'm more than happy to sit down with anybody who's looking at this possibility, at this opportunity, and build out a pro forma and answer as many of those questions, or set you up to be able to answer as many of those questions as you need to. Yeah, thank you, Angela, for reminding me about that.
Yeah, this is exciting. All right, so let's talk a little bit about franchisee DNA, one of my favorite areas. So you might be wondering, am I the right candidate? So, if you possess curiosity and tenacity, endurance, inquisitiveness, and enthusiasm and receptiveness, then we believe anything is possible. So, it's really all about your passion for this. So we're really looking for partners who align with our purpose and our core values. And we've just put a poll up here asking what skills you feel that you possess that would contribute greatly to your success as a Happy Cat franchisee. So feel free to go ahead and share your thoughts on that. We love to get information here and really understand what's bringing everybody out here. And we're looking for people who are looking for a little bit more freedom. They're excited to do a new thing and maybe break away from the corporate 9 to 5. People that are excited to get in on this early stage opportunity to disrupt the status quo with us. Looking for people who are comfortable going out into their local communities and, partnering with veterinarians and real estate agents who know the people that are going to be needing people, boarding for their cat while they're showing their house. And obviously people that love cats. You're going to be around cats and you kind of have to love cats. So that's really what we're looking for in terms of DNA. So then the next thing you might be wondering is, what are the next steps? Like, what are the sort of steps to, the opportunity here? So there's essentially 5 major steps along the path to owning and operating your own franchise. The typical timeline is anywhere from like 8 to 12 weeks to get into a position where we and you feel ready to sign franchise agreements. Obviously, there's a bunch of micro steps. Don't try to read the screen here to a deep extent, but just to show you that these exist, that we will work through with you. So we would work through those with you, but quickly now we can take a little look at what those steps are just at a high level. So I'll let you do that, Chris.
Yeah, so obviously it's a long process. It's a big decision. We're both staring down the barrel of a 10-year relationship potentially. So we want each of us, us and the potential franchisee, we want the person on the other end to be the right fit. So we take it slow. We get on an introductory call. We talk about life. We talk about business goals. We talk about, the more granular aspects of what we've, discussed here today. And obviously answer any questions that we might have about each other and see if it's worth taking the next step.
Okay. So yeah, and then I'll jump in here. The next step, we're getting a little bit more serious at this point. Sorry, I'm just moving something on my screen here. You're thinking, yeah, we want to do this. So this is what's next. We get you to fill out an application. We do some due diligence, really looking at making sure that this is a fit. This really needs to be a win-win situation. Both parties need to feel that it's a fit for it to work. It really is a partnership. So, and then we help you figure out what kind of ownership structure might work best for you. Are you flying solo? Do you have a partner? Do you have a spouse? How is this going to look for you? We'll start to work with you on the preparatory strategies, collecting resources and hashing out your financial strategy. We'll work with you on all that. What you're going to finance, what assets you may have to leverage. And then the big one is really this franchise disclosure document that Chris mentioned. You might hear us call it the FDD. And this is a big document that holds everything you're going to need to know and want to know from like the legal perspective to expense expectations to our own financial performance representations. So as we mentioned earlier, we can share the audited financial statements, but they have to be disclosed because of franchise disclosure law. We have to do that within this document so that we're not presenting it inadvertently or in some kind of a misleading way. So this is a step in the process that comes once we've spent some time together making sure that, yeah, we feel like this is a fit and we want to keep exploring. So that is something to look forward to if this is feeling like a fit.
So when we get to Discovery Day, that's where we would invite you down as a candidate, tour the facility, see how things work, meet our staff, spend a day in the life of a Happy Cat at the Happy Cat Hotel, and just experience everything from soup to nuts. And you can. We were laughing because we had to get a minimum of 10 cat puns in the presentation, and we're at number 9. So we were really looking forward to this last one. We wanted to say that, it was an opportunity to experience the Happy Cat culture firsthand, or first paw, as we say around here. And that will conclude the cat puns for the rest of the
Well, we might throw 1 or 2 extra bonuses if they behave,
right. I guess we got one more. If it's a perfect fit, then we sit down at the conclusion of Discovery Day, and we sign a franchise agreement together. And from there, it's a celebration. But the celebrating is tempered to a degree, because as soon as that is done, we have a lot of work to do. We have to get to work with you on site selection. We have to get to work on figuring out financing and building a strategy for how you want to do that based on capitalization and so on. Training, marketing, so on and so forth. But long and short, you're one of the Happy Cat Pride at that point, and we're happy to have you aboard. So that's how it all works. I hope we did okay in time. We're eager to get to all the questions. We've been trying to chat away with some of them as we go along here, but we'll pull them back up, and we'll just announce answers as they come through on the chat. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, thank you. This has been amazing. I tried to, I think between the 2 of us, probably, or 3 of us, answer questions as best we could, just quickly in there. But I think maybe looking back, let's just make sure. Okay, so Robert asked what states we're registered in, and we're doing that right now as an as needed basis. So it depends on where we're trying to locate, just to be strategic in how we do things. He asked about coming to Canada, which is where I live, and I'm certainly excited about the opportunity, as Chris knows. I've got the first rights of refusal, I hope, on Victoria, British Columbia. Right? Yeah. So Robert was saying Canadians love cats because Kawhi left us for the Clippers, and we need the emotional support, right? For the Raptors. That's hilarious. Let's see, what do we got? Julianne's got a question here. What kind of freedom of design would a franchisee have with the building? For example, if we wanted a fenced-in outdoor space, would that be allowed? Do you want to take that, Chris?
Yeah. So there is a lot of thought that goes into the designs. There's, a specific, themed approach that we try to take to the rooms. We have a plethora of rooms pre-designed already. We put them in our look and feel book. Those are used, by the franchisee you can basically go through, it's a portfolio. You can go through the portfolio, pick the rooms that you want to have featured in your Happy Cat Hotel. The portfolio is tied into the architectural designs and all that. So, it's pretty easy to put those together yourself. When it comes to designing and freedom of design, we want great ideas. We want, things that we haven't thought of. That's part of this whole franchisee, franchisor relationship. So there's a process, you would be able to submit, hey, I have some room designs. I, thought this would be a great idea, that this would be a great idea. And we take those, back to the company, and we kind of look at those and we share those with other franchisees. And, if there's a handful of great room designs in there, then we approve them, and we start, working with you as a franchisee who created that, that concept, that room concept. We start, putting it together and we enter it into the system. But there is a process that has to be followed for it. And at the end of the day, we want to be able to approve that. But you wouldn't be able to just kind of open the doors and put up whatever you wanted.
Yeah, and the whole point of that, just to be just to help with understanding the reasoning, is that we want to protect everybody's investments. So we want to make sure that that process is in place, so that if another franchisee is in the system and wants to do something that they think is a good idea, we want to approve it so that it doesn't diminish or dilute your investment. So that's the reason for having a process in place, and everything that's been done to date. There's been a lot of things that have been figured out already, which is the beauty of becoming a franchisee. So it would be something that we might say, you know what, we've tried that and we found that it didn't work because, or, oh, we've never tried that. Okay, let's assess whether that makes sense. And in some cases, one franchisee, that if they're the one that wants to try it, we may do it as a trial at your location because it's what you want to try. But again, it's just that we have to do it in an approved process so that we're all, working in alignment. I'm just looking, there's lots of great questions. How much support can you offer us during the financing process? Joseph asked, Chris, do you want me to take that? Or?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a response to.
Okay, we're tag teaming here. So Joseph, once we would get to the point of disclosing. So I'm not sure what your level of familiarity is with franchising, but as we talked about before, there's this this big scary, but not so scary, but this big franchise disclosure document, the FDD. So once we get to that point, you'll see the representation to give you a bit of the financial picture of what's already happened at the flagship location. And then we can give you a sense of, you'll see the initial costs, you'll see the ongoing costs. So we can certainly give you some guidance on figuring out, but what we also recommend is that you find somebody in your network that maybe you can bounce it off of, whether that's, an accountant or a business advisor. Actually, ideally, a more generic business advisor could be really helpful. If there's someone that has ever run a business, so we can kind of get you started, but ultimately we want you to sort of take ownership of it, but we can give you some clues and hints so that you can figure it out. The thing is, we don't always know, we don't know what's going to happen in the market. And that's something we have to be clear about. Like, we're going to look at where the demographic and the psychographics look like they're the right fit for a location. We're going to, we know approximately how much you're going to need to spend on marketing, approximately how much rent makes sense. Once we put all those pieces of the puzzle into place, that'll help paint the picture and give a bit of an idea. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if that clarified it a little bit. And then Chris, you're going to answer a question.
Yeah, I had a couple here. I was just dropping into the queue. So Robert had asked, would we say that the optimal franchisee is someone who loves cats or someone who understands the mechanics of running a business?
Great question.
If we had to select one over the other, yeah, it is a good question. I think, and Angela has done this many more times than I have. So if if you have something to say about this as well, please do chime in. To us, it has to start with the cats. I believe that we can help teach and train and coach. Again, this is if we have to choose one. I would say the cats first, because the relationship that you need to have with animals and caring for animals, there's a degree to which it can't be taught. And you could have all of the finite business skills and acumen in the world. And if we're not doing this to deliver the best care to the cats, it's gonna fall a little bit short. Obviously, we want somebody who's got a little bit of both. That is great. But if we had to choose one over the other, we want a cat lover first, and we can figure out the rest. But if you don't like cats, don't love cats, don't get cats, don't understand the psychology, aren't willing to learn any of the it's just not going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely layer on that And in any franchise, you are going to get really tired of, the challenges if you don't love, you can't stand behind it and you don't love it. And I mean, cats, it's not like food where you can just go, well, I don't need to eat the food. Like with the cats, you have to be around them. So you definitely have to have a comfort level and really everything that Chris said. But what I would say too is that, that if you're really passionate about cats and you're not sure about this business side of things, we can have conversations about that. We've got some ways that we can sort of do some assessments for your sake too, not just for ours, but to make sure that it's going to be a fit for you, so that, as you go, we don't want in 3 years for you to go, this was the worst decision I ever made, and it just isn't a fit. Like, we're going to be looking for certain traits that we can talk about in open conversation to ensure that, you understand when we talk about business that we're going to be able to support you. But it needs to be a two-way street. So hopefully that helps. It looks like
I'm sorry, Angela, if you were done there, I had a couple from Jill, and I want to get to Jill's questions. She had a few and they're just starting to pile up. So number one, she asked, do we help with the process of hiring employees? And the general easy answer to that is no, not really. Because you are an independent business owner, that's something that really we stay out of. And there's laws too that make that whole thing, a challenge for us to get too granularly involved with employment and employment-based issues. It's your staff, your team, your management, how you want to structure the goings on within your building is really entirely up to you. Obviously, we can, if we can have any general, mentorship concepts, ideas on employment at large, refer you to resources, things like that, more than happy to do all of that. But when it comes to, interviews and performance reviews and things like that, that's really entirely up to the franchisee.
Just real quick there, just wanted to make sure, just to clarify that, we can give tips and tricks. And that's what I think you were alluding to there. Like, we can give, tips and tricks on best hiring practices, and who's the ideal candidate. We can share that kind of information, but we can't from a legal perspective even get right involved with actually like sitting in on an interview and making a decision or doing performance reviews. So we can definitely teach on some of the how-to, and then let you make the ultimate decisions.
Yeah. And Jill had also asked about some of the additional expenses that we had posted up there, and we kind of went through that maybe a little quick. So there's the 5% royalty, which is on the gross revenue. And then there is a 2% advertising fee, and that's for local. And then there's a 1% national or regional advertising. So the grand total is 8%. And the 5% royalties for the ongoing support throughout the 10-year, agreement. The 2% contribution to the local is really just, we know that you need bare minimum. You have to spend at least 2% of what you're bringing in to reinvest in your own business, to market locally, to market to your community, your state, whatever it is that you might need to do. How you do it is a much different question. You want to put up a billboard, you want to pass out flyers, you want to invest in social media advertising. You can do all of that. That's your choice at the local level. It's your business. We can help with, content, whether it's content creation or copy approval. Every franchisee actually gets access to our online marketing portal. So, instead of going out and paying a graphic designer to create brochures, you want to use the ones that we've already created. You can put your location and your contact information on them, and you just get those from us. The work is already done. You get to use it. That's all part of the benefit. And then the 1% is the regional or national level ad campaign. And that's when you see McDonald's commercials and Dunkin' Donuts commercials. That's from all the contributions from all the franchisees and the corporate units. And we put that to work, and that just benefits everybody in the system. So I hope that answers that question. If not, send me a follow-up. We'll dig down deeper, or obviously we can, always talk about this, offline as well. So Jill had another question here.
Full-time versus part-time is the question.
Yes. So Jill's question was, how much of a time investment is expected before signing on the dotted line? I work a full-time 9-to-5 job, wondering how it would be balancing that. So the average, and actually, Angela, if you have something to say about this as well, I believe that the average kind of cycle, agreement cycle is 12 to 24 or 8 to 12 weeks? What's that industry standard number for the average cycle until agreement?
Oh yeah, around 18 weeks is about right.
Around 18 weeks.
You're talking about like from showing interest to signing on and being open?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 3 months-ish, 3-4 months.
So, I mean, and that's just the industry average. We have candidates currently now who are, ready to do this. They've already, made their decisions. They're getting geared up. They're, they want to get this done as fast as possible because it's of their best interest. And then we have folks who are, planning a year, 2 years down the road and saying, hey, I'm looking at, early retirement. This would be something that, let me take the next year to, get myself in order. So really, Jill, it's up to you. We can move as quickly or as slowly as you need to. We just want to make sure that when we get to that finish line, that it is, the right decision for both parties, and that you're comfortable and you're ready to do it when you are ready to do it.
Yeah, I would say that you probably can probably juggle that, but it just depends on how quickly you want to move. I just wanted to just jump in really quick here and say that for anybody that's on the webinar right now and needs to go, we have completed the presentation. And so we're just sticking around now at this point to continue the Q&A. We're happy to stick around, but we just want to be respectful of everybody's time and let them know that if they were looking for any more specifics, this is just whatever comes up now in the Q&A. So if anybody needs to jump off, we thank you very much for joining. And Chris, did we want to put a link to book a time with you in the chat, or your email address? What's the best way? Maybe we just maybe check your email address in the chat for anybody that needs to jump off, that was maybe expecting to be finished at this point, that they could reach out to you and set up a time to have a conversation.
Yeah, so just drop.
Oh, Monica's back on. Is grooming included? Hi, Monica, you're back. It's awesome. Is grooming included immediately as a service, or can that be added later? I'll leave that to you, Chris, to respond on that.
Yeah, we would like to make that a part of the process to start, but at this particular juncture, it is not required. We highly, highly recommend it. The cross-marketing opportunities are so significant that I mean, you're really, really helpful for the investment of the grooming equipment, the grooming space, the grooming training. The return on that is significant when it comes to the entire plan. I mean, you can. It's huge. It's a huge part of it. So. But the reality is you have to get training too, or find a certified master groomer, or if you're going to decide to do that yourself, whatever that solution is. The reality is, hey, maybe you can get the facility open in 6 months, but it's going to take another 3 months to get the grooming set up like that. That all makes total sense, and that's fine. But we highly recommend that grooming be a part of it from the get-go. It's very, very powerful with the entire package.
I'm just checking if anybody had a question that was earlier in the webinar and we answered it quickly in the chat and you want more explanation, feel free to join in or restate the question. There's something in the Q&A it looks like as well. Did we? Oh, there we go, from Michelle, and that was earlier on. Are we able to determine which clients we can or cannot accept? I'm not looking to take serious behavioral issues or seriously medicated pets that I would be more comfortable being cared for by a vet. I think that's a question for you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's your business, and you need to make the best decisions that you can with what you have to work with. So, But by all means, especially if it's a medical situation or a health concern, if you don't have the infrastructure to do that, meaning if you don't have a veterinarian on staff or a vet tech on staff, absolutely better the safe than sorry. You do have control over that.
Yeah, I was just kind of scrolling back through the questions here, and I don't think we've missed anything. It's been really exciting to hear all these great questions. Does anybody else will maybe do a last call for questions? Chris is, thanks, Joseph. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited we're excited to reconnect. Hopefully you grabbed Chris's email address and you can reach out if you want to talk further. We'd love to keep exploring, just, keep talking.
Joe. Actually, Joe brings his cat Cheddar to us.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Wendy.